So my name is C. Brian Williams. I'm the founder and executive director of Step AFRIKA. Step AFRIKA is the first professional company in the world dedicated to the tradition of stepping, and we are very interested in stepping's use not only on stages, in communities, and with children. And that governs our work every day. Today, Step AFRIKA employs 16 full-time artists, which is a huge opportunity for us to engage that many artists in this tradition of stepping, with an administration of between 5 and 7 full and part-time. Every year we reach several hundreds of thousands of individuals, either on the stage or through some type of community activity. And our range is pretty much worldwide. We've toured to about 75 countries, almost every state in the United States, but we're very solidly based here in Washington, D.C. Starting an arts organization for me was extremely exciting because you don't know a lot about fundraising. You don't know anything about board development. You don't know anything about human resources or anything that is necessary to building a company. But what you do have is the idea for a project, if it could just be, or a company, right? So for me, it was the idea that really kind of drove me. It wasn't the interest in creating an organization, it was more the idea and how to get the idea out into the public that really inspired me. And I really, when I started Step AFRIKA, had no idea that I would intend on building an organization. I just thought I was going to do this one time. I really wanted to do it, and that was it. When I started the company, the idea, the good thing was that for me was this was something that in terms of my immediate surroundings had never been done before. But it's not like I researched to see if it had been done before. I just had never heard about the art form I was going to connect stepping with, which was the South African gumboot dance. Stepping itself as a dance form was not very recognized as a dance tradition. You couldn't see it on stages around the country. It was pretty much dominated by, contemporary dance and ballet dance at the time. And again, it wasn't my intention to take the art form into the theater then. I was just really using the art form as a way to build and create a cultural exchange between people. And I felt that the arts were the best way to do that. So, what that supports, what that tells me is that the original idea I had for Step AFRIKA is not what it is now. That wasn't even the intended result. It was really the result of other people coming into the organization, bringing ideas and thoughts, and me being open to that and willing to listen and hear, not just from what I thought I wanted to do with the organization or the concept, but what others thought might be possible. And then listening very closely to the audience that I was starting to develop and build and seeing what they wanted. And I think that really has been the core of Step AFRIKA's growth over, now 22 years of doing this. A constant conversation with our audience, with our artists and our administration and the people who really care about what we do. I will say that, skill development that has been essential to the development of the company for me has been good writing and communication skills. So why I say that is because when I see a lot of artists trying to start projects, but they don't have, solid communication skills, it's very hard for them to put on paper or talk to others about what they're trying to do. And when you can't really explain the vision to others well, or if you aren't willing to try to do that, then it's hard to grow the family. the idea is what really, really drove me, and that kind of made me pick up the skills that I needed to implement the idea. And that's something that I love talking with young artists about, is that, you know, the idea is what really should drive you to, you know, amass whatever skills you need to get that out into the public. Really, from day one, I recognized there was no way I could pull the project off by myself. It required people to do it. So, and I felt that I was very confident in that they would be interested, the people I was targeting would be interested in what I was trying to do. So all I had to do was just start talking about it. And you know, that seems like such a silly point, just talk to people and connect people and let them into your circle. But the reason why it's so huge is because a lot of entrepreneurs, some entrepreneurs I've seen, don't do that. They want to hold ideas like this and keep it very, very close and not let people in, and fearful of letting people in and sharing the idea because they think they'll lose control of it, or it won't be what they wanted it to be. And the bottom line is it probably will not. Once you let people into the idea, it immediately changes. And so what I always tell my artists today is, you know, I'm still trying to get exactly what I want to happen with Step Afrika. But because there's so many stakeholders, there's so many people interested in it now, it's not just about me and my vision, it's more about what the community wants it to be and what the artists want it to be and what the administrators want it to be and the board. And I have to be okay with that, because at the end of the day, that means that we're still able to be here and do this work and serve. So I really stress that point about taking the risk of opening up as soon as possible. Because if not, I think you run the risk of holding it too tightly. What was very strange for me when I started Step Afrika is that I wasn't really worried about the money. I was more, even though I didn't have any money to underwrite the project, and I wasn't going to just ask somebody, I mean, I didn't know you could even ask somebody to write a check. But the idea is what really drove me to, I just wanted to make it happen. So the question was, you know, I had no idea of grant applications, no idea of foundations, no idea of tax status. That wasn't relevant. It was just the idea to pull this off. And what's funny is when you're thinking more about the mission and what you're trying to deliver, surprisingly, the money came. And it wasn't that much of a struggle. Now, of course, we're talking about I needed $15,000 to make the project happen, right? But at the time, $15,000 to fundraise was just a lot of money just coming out of college. And, you know, but it proved to be quite easy to make that happen, because, you know, it wasn't just me trying to make it happen. It was a team of young men and women who were invested in what we were doing, and we just created a structure, a fundraising structure, ironically, that would kind of be the, you know, the base of the organization for years. That was really based largely on individual fundraising, individual giving, and everybody soliciting individual giving to make the program happen. So I looked at a lot of models too, like those, you know, the marathons, the way they kind of encourage individuals to do individual fundraising. That's what we basically were doing. You know, grassroots, everybody raise the dollars that they need, and we all pull that together, and that creates enough for us to make the project happen. You know, you go through this very, very slow development that is actually extremely satisfying at the beginning. And so when I first started Step Afrika, and it was really just an annual event that I was curating and managing and leading, you know, I loved that. I loved everything about that. Did that for 3 or 4 years. Then, after doing it consistently and seeing the energy that was being built, we started to explore, well, what else can we do? Maybe we should start performing. Maybe we should do some mini little shows here and there. So then we started playing with that, taking what we had learned after 3 years of traveling back and forth with Africa onto the stage and playing with those concepts. And and just building slowly and surely to now where, then I hired, at one point we were doing part-time artists for years. So artists, everybody had their own job, and then we would just perform when we got a chance. Then we did that for a couple of years, and that became a little frustrating because I knew it was holding back the quality of what we could deliver on the stage. It was holding back, it was hard to schedule with people, juggling, using leave to come perform with Step Afrika. And so I took the risk, and I said, we're gonna hire 6 full-time artists, and we're gonna see if that works. And then sure enough, took that risk. That paid off in spades because we were able to create more work for the company, we were able to create more revenue. And that really is the point that really started to professionalize the organization. But it took about 12 years from inception to get to the point where the idea was solid enough, the concept was accepted enough to where I could really employ people. Now, after 22 years, I think the challenges are really just maintaining high quality when you are executing so many different performances and experiences. So now, where you used to be able to handle and control every aspect of your work, now you have other people doing that. So, which is a great thing, but it's also about releasing once more. It's like it was about even releasing even more now. Releasing for the next generation to take it over, bring their ideas in, releasing for the people who work for the organization to have space to create and do stuff. And that can be an interesting challenge. They always talk about founders having a difficulty letting that go, but I really feel like it's almost something that you have to do. And I'm trying, I come from a generation of entrepreneurs, so I've seen them go through this founderitis thing, so I'm trying to be a little better at it. My leadership now is more focused on, or where I'm moving into leadership now, is on developing next generation, right? So what does that look like? And how am I creating the space for others to lead? And what is my role in that? As an employer, how do you create good employment opportunities for people to develop and take the tradition that I have been kind of nurturing for 22 years to some new places? In hindsight, some of the best ideas that the company has had have been the result of listening to our stakeholders. So teachers, we used to go into schools and perform just doing one-offs. And we love that because we go to a school, 150 kids be in there yelling for us and it'd be great. And we thought that was all you would do. And then a teacher would like, look, we'd love for you to come back and teach and do residencies. And do you do residencies? Well, I was like, what's a residency? And well, you could come and teach consistently, and then, so that conversation, I just heard it from one teacher, I heard it from several, so I said, well, we need to create a residency program, because clearly our audience wants us to come in with this tradition and share it. So that led to the creation of one of our most popular arts education programs. So, and there are countless examples of how our programming has been in direct response to our listening to our community. If I had any advice about how to do this, it would have been such the most basic advice, but it would have really been just to be patient. Just enjoy every phase of the work that you're doing, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to be most important when you look back on what you've been able to accomplish. Did you enjoy each and every step? And I can honestly say that I enjoy the earlier stages of the company with very little funding and no employees and none of that stuff, where the idea was just as pure as it could possibly be, as I do now. I mean, when I started doing Step Afrika, most people didn't even recognize the art form as having true value. Now, 22 years later, you know, everybody, you know, symphonies want us to come and perform with them, and you know, ballet companies want to collaborate, and you know, opera houses in Latvia want us to come and perform. So, but you know, that took a lot of time when you're breaking a new idea or introducing a new concept. So if you really love it, I think that's, and I really loved the idea of Step Afrika, that it was more than enough fuel for me to kind of weather whatever storm might happen. And there will be many, but they really become so irrelevant when you're clear about what it is you're trying to do and you enjoy it.